how do we influence? How do we influence? I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked the question of how. You know why? Because the how is just as important as the what. We influence through vision. Okay? We influence through vision. This is why I don't do my clicker. All right? And this is something that you have to understand about people, and I was trying to share it with you at the beginning. When it comes to vision, vision leads to legacy. Vision leads to legacy. Okay? What is legacy? That it lives beyond here. Now, we're at a 2-year college, so your time here is very short. So you should always be thinking about what are the things that we're doing and how's the impact? And I want to make sure that this is living 10 years after I've left here. So one of the things I do teach on is creating successors, right? That's another class for another time. But vision is the basis to be able to get to legacy, right? Because people are not attracted to causes. They're attracted by vision. Look at all the causes that are out there. You could name probably like 10 different causes in 10 seconds, right? There's a cause for everything. But the reason why the people that are successful with their organization is because they're good at creating and communicating what the vision is. The reason why our country is the way it is right now is because we cannot agree on vision, right? And when you can't agree on vision, what happens? Division comes in, right? So it's very important that we are solid with the Black Student Union vision, and everybody should know what that vision is, right? So vision is defined as a clear mental picture of your preferable future, okay? It's a clear mental picture of a preferable future. You're creating a compelling picture that can be achieved, and you see the possibilities and the opportunities that other people can't see. So you have to be able to communicate what is the big picture for Ivy Tech's Black Student Union, and it can't be something that's in front of you. It has to be something that's before you, because sight is what's in front of you. And a lot of times we get distracted by sight. What's going on in the economy, what's going on in the college, what's going on here. But if you have a big enough vision, the vision will always out-trump what's happening right now. Okay? Tragedy does not deter vision. So when they came across and you heard they were shutting down DEI, right? In your mindset, you're like, okay, that's a hiccup. But in the end, if my vision is corrected, my vision will survive this too. Because now we know how to pivot because we know what the vision is. The vision is doing blah, 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 blah. The vision expands beyond what's happening in the present. Does that make sense? So you have to become, visionaries are future minded. We're going to talk more about that in a second, the Black Excellence time when we're talking to that. But we're giving the long view. It's a possible future. But here's the thing. It's a possible future, but it's not a guarantee. Just like your vision for your life, it's a preferable future, but it's not a guaranteed future. But it can be a better future if you're working on it and you have a plan to get it done. Otherwise, what you're doing is you're dreaming. So vision is the possibility that the future holds possibility. It requires action. If you have a vision and there's no action, you're dreaming. Does that make sense? Yeah. We need to have a vision that is not just a pretty piece of paper, words on a pretty piece of paper. Okay? You must actively build for the future that you are envisioning. And also, results are not guaranteed, but you also got to make sure that you're putting in plans for your vision that it's not so brick and mortar, so solid that you can't pivot and make changes. Because visions evolve. Okay? Otherwise, we get stuck in what we call a circle of thinking that you can't break out of it, and you can't innovate, you can't do anything because you're just stuck here with the way things used to be. Is that making sense? All right. So vision also should provide direction and purpose. So everything that you're doing, you should be running and following it through the vision. If you had a vision for your life, everybody you date should be ran through your vision. A lot of our relational mistakes could have been avoided if we stuck with people that identified with the vision. Here's an example, relationship wise. You know that you're supposed to be an entrepreneur. You know that you're supposed to be running your dream, and your dream is to be an entrepreneur, and you want to be a global entrepreneur brand. But you connect with a sucker, and it could be a male or female sucker, right? That is saying, oh, I don't believe you can do that. Well, you just disqualified yourself from being in a relationship with me. Because two can't walk together unless they are in what? Agreement, right? So if every time you're going in there and they're telling you something that's opposed to your vision, that's a check mark. And say, all right, you know, that you're a good associate, but I can't roll with you like that. And if you're protective of your vision like that in your personal life, so much more for any organization that you run. You have to protect the vision, because to the level that you protect the vision is the level your leaders that are under you are going to protect that vision, and the followers that are following the leaders are going to protect that leader. Does that make sense? Go ahead.
Can you touch on how maybe isolating that can be and how to navigate that?
Isolation in the means of, okay, yeah.
Personal life and professional life. Because, I mean, starting with professional life, having a vision and protecting that vision within your organization is gonna lead to conflict.
Yeah, well, you can't. Leaders, we can't avoid conflict.
Right.
Conflict is going to be here. That's why you need to know, when you understand the influencing brand pieces. When we talk about your identity, when you understand your identity, you know who you are.
Right. Exactly.
Therefore, you can't compromise who you are and change against who you are, because you know who you are. When you understand who you're talking to, you're not afraid of rejection, because you're not talking to everybody in the first place. I'm talking to the people that are supposed to be connected to my vision, right? So as we were talking about the Black Student Union, you're going to have Black folk that are not going to be resounding with it. They rather stay out there in the culture. That's all. Some people rather talk about the culture rather than be about the culture. Well, you're not talking to them. You want to talk to people about being about the culture. Because if you're about the culture, you're going to live the culture, you're going to protect the culture. And I'm talking to that. Remember when we started, said it's not about how many people are in the room. I'd rather have a few people that can change the world than have a whole bunch of people follow me, and then it goes right. Right? Because when the benefit of having the few of you here is now you're able to tighten it up. You're able to build it. You're able to grow it. Now when you grow it, people are coming in and they're stepping in line with what you have put in. If you don't got nothing in there, you make it a free-for-all. When people come in, it's going to be confusion. It's going to be other people. Well, I think it should go this way. Well, no, this is the vision. Does it line up with the vision? And then when you train your new people coming in, you're training them on the same process. You're training. We have an identity. We have a brand. We don't want you out here repping our brand and you acting the fool. Does that rep the culture? When you do that, people will stand by the mission and the van and the values that you have. And that's why we're going to go into the values, because I want to get to the point where we are learning how to create a vision statement. Okay? So in the time that we have, I'm good on time. So in the time that we have now, I want you to think about creating the vision for the Black Student Union. Now, some things about vision. The vision needs to be clear. When you write the vision, make it plain, make it clear, so that the people that are reading it will see it, see themselves in it, identify with it, and run with it. Okay? So when you do that, make it clear. Don't make it so technical that you have a whole entire Declaration of Independence that people have to use too much of their brain to even understand. It should be a clear statement of who you are and what you are about and what your mission and your goals are. So there's two things you're going to learn. There's a vision statement and there's a mission statement. The vision statement talks about who you are. The mission statement talks about how we get the job done. Okay? So as a mission statement, I said, my goal as Champ I Am is to help people to identify who their purpose. I want them to dig deep. So I want them to discover. I want them to embrace. I want them to be equipped to pursue their purpose. Okay? That's my vision statement. My mission statement talks about how I do that. I do that through workshops. I do that through speaking on college campus. I do that through my summit platform that I do, my conference platforms that I have. I do that from, group coaching. The mission statement shows you how you do what you do. But you need to start with a strong vision statement, and it should be clear. A good vision is easy to understand. Going back to my marketing thing that we were talking about. If people look at your vision and they have question marks or they have to make up in their mind what it is, it's not clear. So clarity, okay?
Can I say, I think in BSU we don't have a vision statement.
Okay.
We only have a mission statement.
Well, and that's backwards. So we're gonna work on that today, okay? Because part of your thing is to create the mission. How do you know what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it if you don't know who you are? And the vision statement is the identity statement. It talks about who you are. And don't feel bad about that, because most people in corporate world do the same thing. Most entrepreneurs will say, I want to sell something. I need to make that money, right? And they track after the money, but don't have a personal vision. So I deal with speakers, and speakers are out there giving their message all over the place. And I talk about this and say, well, what is your vision for what you want to do? I just want to get my message out. That's not a vision. A vision statement is what I just said. Chris Hampton, Champ I Am, is here to help you to discover, to empower you, and to equip you to pursue your purpose. So everything that I do is connected to that vision. So you're not going to have me out there selling Tupperware. Have you ever heard somebody that every day they're in a different business plan, or they're in a different thing, and nobody trusts them anymore because you've been doing the 10 different business plans, 10 different multi-level marketing things. And I have nothing wrong with multi-level marketing if it's done through vision. So when I did the open mic night, they're like, well, what does that have to do with Champ I Am? Why? Because I was helping kids to discover, empower them, and equip them to pursue their purpose as artists. Why did I become the commissioner for the arts in the city of Heritage? Because I wanted to provide opportunities for young people to do what? To discover and equip. Well, that doesn't look like a motivational speaker, but it's motivational speaker is my mission statement. It's how I accomplish what I do. When you understand that life is about vehicles and that you can use a different vehicle to get to different definition, don't lock yourself into one vehicle. Okay? So I want to get to the point because I want to give us 15 minutes to be able to do this. So the other thing about it is that it should be realistic and inspirational. So don't make your goals so unrealistic that you can't attain the goal, right? I want them to reverse DEI tomorrow. It ain't happening. You got at least 4 years, okay? But what are you going to do to get your voice out? What are you going to do to get the mission? Because again, the mission goes regardless of who's in charge, right? That's very important. The other thing is, what is your core values? What are your core values? What are your core values as a Black Student Union? These are the non-negotiables. So since she said there was no vision, I'm glad she was honest, and I'm glad she was honest about that. Because the first question I usually do when I do this in different ways, is I pass the paper out and I say, everybody write the vision down. Write what you think the vision is. But since she doesn't have no vision, we said we don't have a vision, and that's not her fault. Because knowing is what? Half the battle? That's G.I. Joe. We with G.I. Joe generation. Knowing is half the battle, right? So now that we know, we do better, right? So this is not only for Black Student Union, this is for life. This is whenever you get into a new corporate environment. When you get into a new job, you should be asking, what's the vision? And then the great thing about it is once you discover the vision, everybody should be on the same page with that vision. Before your Black Student Union meeting even starts, we're going to talk about the vision. We're going to all quote the vision. Champ I Am is about helping people to discover, embrace, and equip to pursue their, so right before every meeting, we say it over and over and over again until it becomes second nature, because it's about building legacy. So when your new people come in, what they're going to do? Every time the meeting starts, they're going to do what? They're going to quote the vision, right? That's for you. That's for your security. That's for the legacy. So what I want y'all to do right now is just look at those things. And what I would like y'all to do is just to discuss amongst yourselves, because I'm going to stop here. What is the vision? All right? And I want you to honestly be able to communicate with each other about that. I'm putting you as the facilitator. So Nema's going to be the facilitator. And she's going to facilitate. She's going to write these things down that y'all are going to talk about. And then we're going to come up with a statement that we're going to build.